Hello everyone and welcome to the demo and prologue of Vagrus, the Riven Realms, which is a turn-based post-apocalyptic fantasy RPG. And let's just jump right in and try it out.
The Riven Realms, they call it. What a fine poetic name for something as rotten and twisted as our land has become. It was not always so. Long ago, the old empire, the noblest and most enduring society created by humankind, spanned almost the entire continent of Zerine, the cradle of man. But after several millennia of progress and incomparable achievements, inevitably, the empire began to fall into stagnation and decadence. Desperately holding on to their privileges and resisting change while trying to avert the collapse of the realm, the emperor and his theocracy took to measures that were worthy of true despots in cruelty. Subjugating weaker realms, enslaving whole nations, strip mining foreign resources, oppressing imperial citizens, war on several fronts, genocide. Eventually, the gods could no longer tolerate such horrors wrought in their name. Foretold by an abundance of divine omens, they descended upon the empire to right its wrongs. Thus, in a chain of dreadful events that became known as the Calamity, they annihilated the empire in a matter of days. The gods then finally saw what they had done in their anger and confusion. It is said that so much grief and shame filled them that they were broken and they left this reality, never to return. The continent and its inhabitants seemed dead, but at length survivors began to crawl out of their hiding holes and faced a land that no longer welcomed them. Arcane anomalies, the fallout of the Calamity, now riddled the continent, and people realized that they had to share their new home with changed and twisted creatures. Terrible beings entered through the cracks in the tapestry of reality and rose to rule over the natives. In time, these new powers rebuilt the fallen empire in their own image, and the Riven Realms, now godless and vengeful, reincarnated from the ashes. The inhabitants of the land, such as I, now eke out a living under the crushing rule of the new empire. The continent itself constantly resists our every attempt at building a cozy home for ourselves. As travel is dangerous, many ventures specialize in transferring cargo and passengers over bleak and deadly leagues of land. Others try to take everything of value from said travelers, or attempt to find buried treasures among the ruins of the old empire. The leaders of the endeavors are, some say, the bravest men and women of the Riven Realms. Such a leader is called a Vagrus.
Nothing beside remains around the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. From Ozymandias by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Not sure how to pronounce that.
Ah, yes, a Vagrus. What a profession. Daring and savvy, always watching the horizon, always looking for an opportunity, and of course, for what is best for his comitatus, eh? And you are a Vagrus too, are you not? Many of your kind have I seen in my long life as a vagabond. Care to listen to a story about your exquisite occupation, good master? It is a tale of woe and terror, but it is also a tale that is true, as I have seen it with mine own eyes.
I just wanted to say that it's interesting how very much like the Roman Empire, that empire was in that intro. It was definitely very fascinating. And, kind of fitting as well. Although it wasn't gods that laid waste to them. Tell us your tale, old man. It'll at least help kill the time.
Wise you are, good master. My tale is of a Vagrus, such as yourself, but one whose fate was cursed and wrought with ill fortune.
Ooh.
It all happened a long time ago. 10 years, maybe more. I was but a passenger, traveling rough roads and forgotten ways with this comitatus, south along the feet of the great mountains of the west.
I mean, even that sounds very much like old Roman or Italian / Latin. Whatever you call what they
This
spoke there
comitatus I speak of had fallen under hard times.
in the Roman
Perhaps
Empire.
it was due to imperial harassment or unfortunate decisions, or simply bad luck. Hierophants, saint of roads, does not always smile on us mere mortals.
No.
But however it came to pass, their coin was drying up, and their opportunities seemed few and far between. One of the last chances their Vagrus saw was to travel to the remote town of Scrapheap and spend their
Nice
remaining
name.
funds to stock up on cheap scrap metal. This metal could be sold for great profit over in the east and south. It wasn't a bad plan, truly, but it was not without risks either.
No, usually isn't. Welcome to Pilgrims of the Wasteland, a standalone story of Vagrus the Riven Realms. It serves as an introduction to the setting and also as a tutorial to the game. It behooves you to read the tutorial text and follow the instructions to gain a better understanding of how the game works. The arrow icon can be clicked in tutorial windows to show what the section is referring to via a pointer. Note that you have to be on the right UI screen for the pointer to appear. Although Vagrus is an open world game, due to Pilgrims of Wasteland being a tutorial, it progresses along a narrow guided path in the beginning and opens up only later after the core mechanics have been introduced. You can access the hotkey list by pressing F11. Move to Scrapheap. Having gone ahead of the column with a handful of scouts, you watch from afar as your comitatus slowly trudges along broken terrain, making its way south ponderously among dormant geysers. All around you, the hills smolder lazily in the perpetual twilight. Are you all right? Yavik's voice resonates with sympathy as he appears next to you on the ridge. You nod slowly, but do not look at him, your gaze lost in the distance where ash cloaks the horizon and the towering mountains to the south and west. You turn to your Comus and note his supportive smile. You and Javik have been traveling the realms together for years now. There is no person in the world you trust more than him, except perhaps yourself. I know you feel that your hands are tied, but like I said before, you made the right choice by leading us here. Time will tell, but I still have my doubts. It's a long shot, and you know it. There wasn't much of a choice, either this or returning my trading license and hanging myself. It has to work. We cannot fail, not like this. Thank you, but the last thing I need right now is a clumsy pep talk, even if it's well meant. Let's go for that one. You glance at Javik and notice the worried look he is giving you. You turn away, back to the horizon. No reason to be crestfallen yet. We just stick to the plan. Why should it not work? Your friend says cheerfully. You know that there could be hundreds of reasons, but do not feel like reminding him. Yes, the plan. It might work, yes. The plan. You talked your traveling company into this a few weeks ago, but with each step towards the Western Mountains, more and more of them started to have doubts. Such is the way of the road, perhaps. The plan involves a desperate attempt at squeezing a low selling price for metal bits out of an old contact of yours in the town of Scrap Heap. Stocking up on said metal by spending your remaining coin and bringing the cargo down south around the Molten Tongue to Devon via Avernum and Ash. There is a shortage of metal in Devon, and you know several buyers who would give a pretty price for your goods if you can only make it there before many others with a similar cargo do. Such contacts are the boon of the long decades spent on the road. But even if Narbo, that villain, gave you an agreeable price in Scrap Heap, the road is not without its perils. Sneaking through the gap between the dead forest and the Molten Tongue is inviting disaster, so it is not a path many Vagri would risk. And of course, if this fails, you are out of alternatives. Do you think Narba will help us out? The old scavenger was never famous for his goodwill, Javik wonders. One can only hope. I haven't seen him in years, but we always did good business. That said, you are not sure he would remember you or if he is alive at all. If he is not willing, we must find a way to compel him. There is no telling what you would be capable of if it came to that. Let's go for that one. I'm sure such sleazy bastards as Narva would remember all the business they've ever done, Vagrus. Javik rubs his chin absent-mindedly. You have seen this expression of his too often not to realize he is using his sorceress talent to read your mind. Taking a peek. Apologies. Javik rubs his eyes quickly and looks away. You know how it is. It comes to me so naturally that sometimes I don't notice I'm doing it. Your thoughts were loud, Vagrus. I have to actually block them, you see? After joining your comitatus 6 years ago, Javik proved to be an invaluable asset. Not only does he sense moods and thoughts around him, but he is also able to subtly manipulate others when he focuses his inner energies. It comes in handy when doing business. Yeah, I can imagine so. Then there are his other perks. A few times you saw him shatter the minds of men and beasts who tried to kill him. Not a pretty sight, but a very effective deterrence. Yeah. Yet, because he is not a trained sorcerer, at least not in the traditional sense, his abilities are sometimes difficult to control. You have become accustomed to his impromptu thought scans, while others find it less bearable to be around him. For this reason, he has kept his abilities a secret for many years overall, but you can't keep a secret such as this for long in the close-knit community of a comitatus, especially not if you keep bursting minds and knowing things you shouldn't. So there are only a handful of your comes, or commes, who put up with being near him for any length of time. But even so, he has not probed your mind in years, certainly not on purpose, but neither by accident. Perhaps he is less in control now, which suggests he is more on edge about this whole trip than he lets on. Apology accepted. You manage a faint smile. Let us return to the others and push on. There is still a day's travel ahead of us. Just make sure it does not happen again. You grumble as you start to make your way down. Let's go for that one. Both of you head west to join the column. You go back to the comitatus.
As we were coming up to the gates of Scrap Heap, this trash pile town of cutthroats and scavengers, we could see the vast mountain ranges of shattered Bivandar Thar looming ominously over the horizon. half shrouded in the gaseous vapors belched forth by the volcanoes in the far west. My companions prepared to do their business in town as fast as they could, not wishing to tarry in this notorious place.
Understandable. Okay. Alright, track down Narbo. Can he be convinced to help you out? You make your way to the Wraith's Stash, a notorious watering hole tucked away in a small street just beneath the imposing tower of the Heap King, but not quite under its immense shadow. Few frequent the establishment, which makes it perfect for Narbo and his little operation of honest merchants. Yeah, I don't think that they are very honest. If you have to, add that, then that probably means that you're not. Apparently, the knave is not only alive, but has done well for himself in the past decade or so. Taking only Javik, you leave the Comitatus to the care of Titus, your quartermaster, while you are gone negotiating. Ash is flitting from the black sky as you cross the street and nod to the bouncer of the Wraith's Stash. You give him your sidearms quietly. Rules are rules, at least as long as they can enforce them. Yet they have the courtesy of allowing you to keep your dagger. And of course, they have no idea what Javik is capable of, should it come to a scuffle. Not that you expect such a thing, but with Narbo, one never knows. Though you have told your crew that he and you go way back, the entrepreneur is a capricious and manipulative man with whom you did not part on the best of terms. Does he remember that? Surely. Could he be persuaded to take your proposal? Who knows? Your eyes slowly adjust to the dimness of the tavern's interior. Only a few candles and a lamp at the bar illuminate the common room. Shadowy faces turn towards you and observe you through the smoke. The bartender, a thick-set man in a dirty tunic, is chewing tobacco serenely. Above the bar hangs the skeleton of a large heap lizard on display. Narbo is sitting at a table in the back, his bodyguard half hidden in the darkness at the wall behind him. Walk over to the bar. I don't think that would be appreciated. Feels better to do that. The bartender stifles a belch and nods his greetings. What can I do you for? The way he grabs an earthenware mug suggests that it would probably be best to order something. You glance at Javik briefly before paying for 2 rounds of a local mushroom brew called Ash Tongue. It is somewhat less loathsome than you imagined. Leaning over your drink, you quietly tell the barman that you're here to see Narbo. Are you now? He's doing calculations, and he don't like to be bothered when he's doing calculations. He indicates Narbo at the corner table with a nod. The entrepreneur is indeed busy poring over a stack of papers and fiddling with a calculus. Wait until he's done with his papers. At least you can finish your beer. You chat with the bartender while sipping your beer. Most of it is a boring small talk, but when the conversation turns into a discussion of local prices, you notice Javik's stern expression and the small hand gestures he makes. This is a signal you two have been using for a long time now, indicating that he has gleaned something from the man's surface thoughts. When minutes later the bartender goes to the back to check on the kitchen, Javik leans closer. Apparently, there's a supplier of meat and mushrooms that has a surplus on his hands he wants to get rid of quickly. You can't help but smile and nod. This could save you quite a lot of coin. Also, your friend Narbo seems to be having some trouble with a package. In his mind, it is a constant frustration in connection to the Heap King. You nod to Javik and notice how the sleazy merchant has stopped fiddling with the calculus and is now looking at some papers listlessly. It is time. Walk over to Narbo's table. The entrepreneur looks up from a stack of papers in front of him and rubs his eyes. Narbo is a corpulent man with a bushy dark beard and a few missing teeth. Part of his face is covered in scars similar to those left by old burns. That, coupled with the withered and mutated left arm that hangs limply at his side, is a clear indication of the taint. The merchant wears a leather jerkin studded with small bronze and bone coins, a sign of wealth and boldness. His bodyguard, a lithe man with tribal tattoos and an outfit made of leather, moves his hand calmly to a spear that leans against the wall. Narbo's mouth falls open as the spark of recognition flares up in his eyes. No wonder. It has been 10 years. The fuck, mate? He blinks. I thought you croaked. People, Narbo waves his good hand around and looks at his bodyguard. Told tales of your demise. The man finishes his sentence for him as the merchant nods vehemently. That business with Kernak outpost in the storm, Narbo adds. You tell him that you were indeed at Kernak when the terrible arcane storm struck. You describe the horrors of that night briefly. You add how many of your original comitatus died there, close friends, old traveling companions, but you walked away unscathed. This was years ago. Sheesh, that fucker Arafons looked after you something fierce, eh? Narbo chuckles heartily. But I'm sure you haven't come to reminisce about good old times, eh? His predatory smile makes you cautious, even though he invites you to sit down with a casual wave of his meaty hand. I apologize to him for the unfortunate way you parted 10 years ago. Probably shouldn't remind him of that. Get down to business right away. You have no time to spare. Remind him that you do not like threats, especially not insinuated ones. Yeah, let's get down to business. You tell Narbo to let bygones be bygones and instead listen to what you have got to offer now. You got balls coming here all business and bold. After a tense moment, his stern expression turns into a toothless smile. I like it. The bodyguard visibly becomes less tense. Narbo opens his arms wide and bows his head. Let's hear it, mate. You breathe in. Time to outline your proposition. You explain to Narbo how you want him to give you a discount on a shipment of metal scraps, which you then would smuggle into Devon through contacts you have in the city's underworld. The profit on the shipment would be quite exquisite. You do not name your contact, but divulge enough of her that the plan looks solid. Buyers, you say, are lining up, expecting the shipment soon. Narbo sits in silence, eyes fixed on the table as if listening to some noise from afar. He does not cut you off at any time during your proposition. At length, after you are done, he looks up and gives you a weak smile. That sounds like you've been thinking a long time about it, he says as he shifts in his chair. And it's a great plan, except for the part where I give you a discount for you asking, and not much else. And I don't do that, mate. That would make me, what, an almoner, the bodyguard adds discreetly. That a word? Narbo looks up at him. When the man nods, he turns back to you. Hey, an almoner, see? I'm no almoner. You know you gotta do better than that. What you got for me? Okay. Moderate chance of success. Tell him that you will be in his debt. He will make a tidy profit as it is, but you will owe him a favor. That's a very low chance. Increase your chance of succeeding in the test by 10%. Could do that. Reveal that you are in a bad spot. No. Let him know that in exchange for his help, you can help him out with a problem he might have right now. Oh. I mean, Javik did say that he had something that was troubling him about a package. Norbo's jaw drops when you insinuate that you know about his little problem. Fuck me, mate. You're better connected than I thought. Or you have something up your sleeve, the merchant says as he eyes Javik suspiciously. For a while he is quiet, then he looks up and narrows his eyes. Tell you what, I think we can help each other. You headed to Devon by way of Avernum, eh? When you nod, Narbo leans closer and signals his bodyguard. The man with the dreadlocks steps closer and carefully produces a small packet from beneath his leather jerkin, then puts it into the merchant's palm. This here little fella is mighty important to me, see. If you take this out of the city and deliver it to my associate in Avernum, we're even. You get your discount scrap from me. The merchant offers you the package. Javik draws in a breath, but before he could speak, Norbo interrupts him. And before pretty boy here asks, no, I won't tell you what's in it, and don't even think about opening the package. What I can say is, it ain't dangerous to you itself, but, you might want to keep it hidden from the damn militia of good old Crap Heap. You take the package. The way Norbo glares at you makes it clear that you have no other choice. This might just be the opportunity you had hoped for. The package is small enough to fit your palm, feels very light, and is wrapped in fine leather. You pocket it after briefly observing it. You'll be looking for a man named Scornar in Avernum. He ain't to be trifled with either. Just tell him I sent you and you'll be fine. You can find him or his men in Lavinus's watering hole most of the time. Give this little fella to him and to him only. Understand? After you assure him you do, Norbo instructs you to give him an hour, then look for his people at the market and simply introduce yourself. They will know what price they should give you on the metal scraps by then. He motions to his man. You and Javik stand up and make ready to leave. Rabber here will take you to the back exit. We don't want to give people the idea they can come here to beg for almonds now, do we? Or anyone to connect us and run to the militia, for that matter. You got what you came for, so you leave the Wraith's stash through the back entrance and head back to the Comitatus. Anyway, I am going to end this video here. If this looks interesting to you, then why not check it out on Steam? And thanks so much for watching. Please consider leaving a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!